So the joys of Cpni, this is keeping customer data safe. So what is Cpni? In 1996, the FCC was given regulatory power over customer proprietary network information. We became part of the FCC and regulated by them in 2009. So
Hey,
what
Matt?
Yes?
Sorry to interrupt, but do you have a presentation now?
Yeah, let me add that in.
Okay.
Better?
There we go. Thank you.
Do what I can. Cpni is data about specific customer service and usage information. That includes things as mundane as the time and date, duration, and destination of each call, the type of network a customer subscribes to, so the plan that they're on, and any other information that would appear on a customer's bill, and that includes things like optional services, so if they subscribe to the voice transcription and things like that, that's all considered Cpni data, and that's data that is necessary for us to make sure that we protect at all times. What happens if we're out of compliance? The joys of fines. Right now, the FCC is charging up to $130,000 per incident for call detail and call information, so the stuff that when ads folks handle calls, the FCC has been fining up to $130,000 per incident. If it's a long process, they actually will fine up to $1.3 million for a multiple day violation. So this is really something that we can't joke around with, which is why you all are here for this training, to understand what this is and how best to use it. When will you need to deal with Cpni? The vast majority of us here will never have to deal with it. But again, it's required to make sure that everyone understands what it is and knows when they're going to bump up against it. So this is by no means a comprehensive list, but it's when a customer calls in and wants information about their last call. If a customer wants to know about their top call destinations, if they want to know if their last fax was received, if we want to market to our customer base for a product that isn't something that they currently subscribe to, so we can't just reach out to our customers and blanketly market any of our labs products without getting customer approval for that. And anything else that anyone can think of based on what you've seen in terms of what Cpni is. Craig, feel free to jump in as our guru of Cpni or anyone else.
I thought you could market products as long as you didn't use Cpni information to do that. So we could send something to all of our customers. We just wouldn't be able to pick out customers based on Cpni information and send
Yes.
stuff specific to them.
Yes. So
Right, we couldn't sit back and say, here are all the realtors with at least 6 extensions in Virginia that we want to market this new product to. We couldn't acquire the database to get that data and then market it to them. But we can market whatever we want to everyone.
Right. So there is that distinction there, and it's a matter of making sure that we can't segment our population to market based on specific pieces of information.
To sell other products,
Right.
not features.
Correct. So what you can't do with Cpni, provide it to anyone who calls in without authenticating who the caller or the emailer is. Making changes to an account without notifying the primary account holder, and that's something that's going to be in the 3.20 release, I believe, making changes to that. Selling it to the highest bidder. Strangely, we can't make a profit off of this.
And you're out of business.
Or lastly, use it without a customer's authorization for Grasshopper Labs marketing based on specific pieces of information. So what we've now put in place, at least in the interim, for authenticating callers, this is more for the folks down in Florida, but should you be on an engagement call and someone wants to ask this question, certainly you got to make sure you go through these steps as well, or any other time you may.
Manager welcome calls as well. You're talking to customers, so depends on how you call them, they might fit into this.
So if a caller calls in and wants some information that is Cpni, you need to ask for the PIN of the account. We are now going through the process of reminding people that the PIN is a very important piece of their sign-up process. So we encourage people to make sure they know their PINs. We're going to be adding in a message in the transcript reading when they call into support saying that they may need to provide their PIN, and trying to do everything we can to push the PIN again to be that sort of piece to verify a caller. If they cannot provide the PIN, what we need to do is ask to see if they're logged into the portal, which I know seems kind of silly, but if they are, walk them through how to get their PIN and authenticate it after they get you their PIN. customer see if they can log into Portal. And then if they can't do that, we are in the process of putting a PIN reminder into CMS, which can be sent immediately, which would send an email to the primary account holder with their PIN so they can authenticate it that way. And then lastly, what you can also do is ask to call them back on the primary number on file. Again, the FCC is very specific in terms of how and what we can do with data. We can't even use caller ID to verify that it is in fact the person who's calling. They're so concerned about companies that are able to spoof caller ID, et cetera, that they actually make sure that you call them on their number.
And last four, credit card is explicitly prohibited
Yep.
as well.
And there's a whole host of reasons for that, yet alone in the fact that it's information that can be found pretty easily. If someone emails in a request through Support Suite, verify that it's the same email address, and then send an email asking for verification. We're asked to call them again on their primary number to get that authorization to provide them that information, and then provide them the information via email or via their phone. Questions, comments, anything else that I can answer, or any of the other folks who have read more on this FCC regulations than I?
So it has implications for the data warehouse or any other repositories where we might have CDR records. As long as we aggregate more than one customer in the data warehouse and staging or any other environments, we're fine. But if that data is stored in other places, we have to protect the access to that data, not just the data itself. So it can't just be in open text files or in databases where everybody could get access to. So especially for engineering, that's why the NOC is very aggressive about controlling access to all of our environments. We do refreshes of data from production to staging. This kind of information can now be in another environment that is less secure. So we have to be conscious of that as we do our development and try to use dummy data when possible, and make sure that in no circumstances we're ever exporting any of that data, any CDR data for any reason, even for unit testing or anything else that might actually be legitimate.
What about like Jira and customer tickets and stuff that's there? Can you include like their name and stuff like that, like in
Yeah,
in
data
Jira tickets?
that can be easily found online is not considered CPNI. So if I was to put your name in a ticket, if you are a customer, that information is searchable and findable online. Yes, it's sort of difficult to get there, in fact, that you'd have to find out that you're a customer of us, et cetera, but any information that is sort of readily available online is not considered CPNI.
But call samples are, so like a call sample that we ask customers to provide, we should keep that in our secure ticketing systems, right? So the password protected, they're not wide open, it's not open to the public, even Jira, it's password protected, you have to be on our LAN. So, there are protections there, it's not wide open. But to the extent that you don't need to list that information, then don't.
Definitely not do it
There's
over
also a
IM.
specific exclusion in the rules that allows us to use the data for troubleshooting.
Correct.
So if we have a call sample and we need to give it, for instance, with a NOC, we need to give it to one of the carriers, that's okay. There is a specific exclusion for troubleshooting purposes.
And the same thing for actually legal reasons. If we're subpoenaed, we are required by law to send that in, and we don't need to get approval for that. Any other questions? Anything down in Austin? Anything in Florida?
We're good.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, guys. Told you it'd be quick and painless.